live on Facebook and live on X. So if you are gonna miss out on this conversation, remember you can always go back and look for it on YouTube. Just search Radio Generation Kenya and you'll find this particular hour posted as a podcast. So today we have an amazing guest. First of all, I'm hanging out with you. This particular show includes very many people. Me, Osti's in the building, our guest, and you guys at home. You guys are aptly called the Wind Down Gang. Remember, hakuna registration fee. It's very free. If you want to join this particular band of listeners, all you have to do is tune in. And there are so many options. You can go to our website, www.rgk.co.ke. If you are in the diaspora, remember you can go to TuneIn or Radio Garden, search for Radio Generation, and you can be able to enjoy the Wind Down experience by extension. Remember, the music has been well curated by our super producer Chase Nthusi, but now this particular hour is just talk, and today we have an amazing guest. Kama kawaida sikulala, lazima ningeandika hapa mazee intro ingine noma. So today we welcome Eugene Wang'ombe, a software engineer at the heart of Askberry Engineering, an ambitious Kenyan-based startup reimagining electric vehicle performance across Africa, from high power density axial flux motors and optimized transmission system to custom battery packs, battery management, and advanced power electronics, all integrated seamlessly through software. Eugene and his team are building an electric car prototype that is more than a vehicle. It's a working laboratory for innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the one, the only Eugene in studio.
Hey, mazee, hiyo intro.
Unaisikia aje? Intro imeenda shule.
Hiyo intro ilikuwa fire.
Lakini kulikuwa na mani karibu zinichanganya hapo ma actual sijui nini.
Axial.
The kale ni kidogo karibu inipeane. But welcome, karibu sana to the studio. I know me and you know each other from way back. I remember when you were telling me about this particular project, time when ulikuwa umeanza bado it was still in its inception. And up to now, like there's actual a physical. I was on your YouTube page and I was watching you driving that go-kart. I'm like, at some point this existed in PDF, you know, like it was in words and figures and so tell us what are you doing right now in this particular, because I see a lot of electric, like there's almost like an influx of electric vehicles, you know, do this and cars, like even today I saw another electric car. I didn't know it existed. It had like a really big screen, looks like a Tesla. So tell us, what are you doing exactly in this space of electric vehicles?
Okay, so I'm currently working on novel technologies for electric vehicles. So mostly I thought it would be a good idea to actually start with building the electric motor itself, because you can definitely find these things in China.
Yeah.
You can source them from China. You can get them from other countries, but you can't get them from Africa.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the big question. Why? You can build these things locally. So I did at some point start figuring out, okay, this goes here and that goes with this together. So I've gotten myself pinched by very strong magnets. Worked with very kind of toxic chemicals to bond magnets, and worked with a lot of Chinese suppliers. Some of them have messed me up.
Yeah.
Some of them have really come through to actually try and figure out how I can build an electric motor from scratch. It's been a very long journey. I started this maybe, I think now it's almost 3.5 years ago. And then again, it's also a lonely journey.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that there are not many people who are, you know, trying to explore this space of building things from scratch. We are really depending on technologies from Asia, Europe, and America. Just like you mentioned, hata hiyo gari uliona most likely ilitoka China. Because right now they are definitely leading the revolution on electric vehicles for sure. Yeah.
So that's what you're basically doing. When you say about the electric motor, that is basically like an electric engine.
Yes. The scientific term actually is an electric machine. So its job is to convert electricity into mechanical motion.
Yeah.
As opposed to kawaida engines zenye tunajua kwenye gari. These ones just use electricity stored from a battery pack. And on the flip side, internal combustion engines everyone is familiar with them. We have good mechanics who deal with them. They just use fuel and burn the fuel to produce the mechanical power. So both these technologies just produce mechanical power from different mediums.
Yeah.
So one is electricity, one is chemical based. Yeah.
So the one that you're dealing with is basically just an electric motor to power all. Is it like I can say all type of vehicle? Is it just focused on one type?
Initially, I thought it would be all types of vehicle, and then as the idea evolved and I became more inundated with information about electric motors, I realized the kind of motor that I wanted to build or I've already built to a large extent is mostly geared towards performance vehicles. So, and then again, there's the other aspect of people really don't understand what electric motors are. They might know them, like you can find them in your blender, you can find them in your fans, on the ceiling fans, you can find them in your blow dryers, but how they really work is a totally different aspect. You just know they work. You don't really know how they work. Yeah, it's one of those good engineering is analogous to magic.
Analogous.
Yes, mazee msami kuna moja alipiga hapo wenyewe ni venye nilishindwa kupronounce.
Is it axial?
You guy, dakika 15 minutes lakini tayari umedrop hapa ma heavy vocab.
Yeah.
So you're saying when engineering is done well, it's basically similar to magic. Like
yes, it's very similar to magic.
There's this particular type of engine. I don't know how true it is. I think someone said that the hardest part about making that particular type of engine is hiding the motor. Like I don't know how I can call it. Like, but it's almost self-producing. Like the energy is limitless, so to say. A good example is like you put a lever and you put counterweights, and like once you start the motion, like it almost goes on forever. Like, does that type of engine exist?
No, it does not, because you also have to account for things like friction. So even if it's a spinning machine, the bearings will always produce friction. There's air resistance. As much as you might wave your hand and not feel like there's any resistance, there is. But if you do like swing a whip, that sound that you hear, that's air resistance basically acting against the whip. So there's no really, you typically call it perpetual motion machines.
Perpetual motion machines.
Perpetual meaning that they can run forever. But not really. Even if you did it in the vacuum of space, you still
wouldn't work.
So I think any selling point, it'll last forever. So people buy it.
It's just marketing jargon. It's nothing.
But it doesn't exist. I think the interesting thing about you is you are, by profession, you are a software engineer, right? So like, how did you get yourself into now building electrical systems and motors and all that? Because you didn't learn it in school.
No, I did not. So it's purely out of interest. I started off I got into software engineering because at the time, around 2011, that's when things like Facebook and Twitter were really calling for people to become developers, become software engineers. But when I was leaving high school, I knew I wanted to do something with electronics or mechanical, just something handsy that would keep my hands busy at all times. At some point, I did think that software would be it, but it really isn't. So, and then we live in an age where information is so cheap, readily available. It's actually free at this point. So it really depends on where you what you put your attention on. So this is the direction that I chose to put my attention on. If you go onto YouTube right now, there's countless videos of people teaching you how to do things, especially mechanical, electrical, how to do video edits, how to code. You know, I didn't start off like kusomea code in campo. Nililearn code on YouTube. Ndio nifike mahali niko, everything I've learned ilikuwa tu YouTube, the internet, general internet.
Hao India wanakuanga no.
Hao India wanakuanga no.
Hao swali niokolea. Achana wasema ngati saving the semester, mimi nili save degree yangu.
Must save the degree, save careers, save generations.
The 3 AM asubuhi before exam mazee niko hapo na mwili.
Rajab.
So the thing about this system, mazee wanaongeanga.
hello friends.
Ukishasikia hello friends unajua basi
Ukishasikia hello friends hivi data tuko ndani mazee.
What do you think is the reason? Because whenever I think about tech, I think about Asia in general, you know, Indians, Chinese, nini. What do you think is the secret to like their innovative spirit like that? Like most people who are in like tech like that, you know, the Indians, Chinese, nini, like hata ukiingia in terms of wanasema just looking up some of these skills, coding, nini, like it's highly saturated by them. Like is it a cultural thing?
It could be cultural. That's a hard question. Because I haven't lived in those areas. I think it's cultural because of other things, not necessarily education or the academic system. Like, for instance, in China, there was a time when there was a drought. For them to get to where they are, the China that you see was built like 30-20 years ago. Started being built 30-20 years ago. It's not haijakuaga hivyo. Si ya kitambo. But there's other aspects to it, like the influence of something like rice farming. It's a very delicate art. For them to have the paddocks that they have to be able to produce the amount of food to sustain their families, their villages all year round, as rice being a staple for them, that grit kind of transfers to other things in their culture. And then the population also has an influence for sure, because of high competition. Like not everybody can become a doctor, a lawyer, or a what. So they really do have to push themselves.
Because I'm thinking like if we want to talk about population, like in Africa, I feel like also Nigerians are at the forefront of like innovation, at least in Africa.
They are. So they really are.
Yeah, I think you're onto something where it's like you're so many that even like the small percentage of you when they go in tech nini, like you end up being like really good. Like you have to be really good to stand out in really those markets.
You really good to stand out in those markets.
Do you think Kenyans we have that? Because when we talk about Kenyans, even like in the diaspora, we'll say, oh, Kenyans are hardworking. You know, we have good work ethic. But do you think like we are innovative like that?
Oh man, mi nitawachomea. Mi ni Mkenya lakini lazima I don't think so. The reason for that is once M-Pesa came into the scene, it's like everybody's minds became blocked. Everything else that was called quote unquote innovation after that was started with an M something, M Changa, M what. Sorry for bashing you, but like it's we ended up focusing on financial technologies because of maybe a narrative that we were sold that Africa is unbanked. But then again, once it has amassed over the years, there's other things to look into. Not everybody can become a software engineer. It's a path, because it's a path to, let me say, it's almost like a path to riches for a lot of people. Because of companies like Microsoft, Amazon, you can go onto these pages or go on YouTube and see something like a day in the life of a Microsoft engineer and think, wow, by the pia mineza kuwa hivyo. So you start bashing on your keyboard endlessly, trying to build something like an M-Pesa, trying to build something like
the next
social media website, trying to build whatever you're trying to build. But at the end of the day, like,
it already exists.
Some of these things,
like, it's not really innovation.
It's not original. It's not really original. So maybe the reason people say that Kenyans are innovative is because of the technologies that have come from here are mostly touching on the information technology sector. They're not really touching on other aspects like battery technologies. They're not really touching on other aspects like material science or oil engineering, chemical engineering, biomedical, all these other things, all these other aspects. Najua kuna so many students wenye wamesomea hizi vitu, but they don't really get to explore their skills beyond the academic part of it. So Kenyans are innovative, man. You guys are innovative, but innovation is not just coding. There's more to innovation than coding. Like juzi nilipatana na jama fulani anaitwa Maosa. He's become a very good friend. And aliniambia, surprising, he's a gym trainer. But he told me that he studied chemistry. How many people do you know who studied chemistry? Naka graduate. You know. So now what can you do with chemistry? You might think, hey, mazia kuna market huko. So one of the things you can do with chemistry is innovate around things like hydrocarbons. So hydrocarbons are basically fuel. Hizi mafuta yenye tunaweka kwa gari. So you can definitely work with guys in the oil industry to come up with something. Of course kuna kwa hiyo aspect ya big oil would not want to be displaced.
So they buy you out.
They'll just buy you out. But man, at the end of the day, you've been bought out. You know, like your mboka yako uko set. Even if
it's all about the money.
It's all about the money.
Business.
It's always business, man.
So what I'm getting from you is of tunasema, it's like you saw a gap somewhere and
there's always a gap.
Because as tumezoea kitu ina work ndio tunakwama nayo. So this works today. Nakwama nayo milele. Then as time changes napata nimekwama. Because whatever worked last year ama 10 years ago bado nimekwama kwa hiyo space. I'm not trying to So what advancement do you see? Are you looking at from where you are from where we are as a country maybe, but mostly personal?
Okay, wacha niwaibie siri. So if you went to China, in fact you don't even have to go, there's the internet. You can chat up someone on a website like Alibaba, and you can get a license for their manufacturing processes. What that means is that they will give you let's start with the basic. They'll give you a PDF containing, okay, these are the machines you need to start producing whatever we are producing that you have seen a market for in your country. Let's advance it a bit more. Since I'm in the space of electric vehicles, you can actually start a battery manufacturing plant in Kenya with the right I want to say policies, but you know how the gava is. Policies with the right people, with the right amount of capital, all that you can set it up in Kenya with a license, because you don't have to think about how do you purify lithium. Lithium will come just from Congo. It's not even why does lithium have to go from Congo all the way to China and then come back to Africa? You know, we've always asked ourselves that. Why does tea leave our country and then come back in
packaged
differently?
Different name.
It's just the processes.
It's just the you can license the process. Whatever you see being done, at a process ya kutengeneza nail cutters. You can license that process locally and actually start manufacturing. So of course what that does is create jobs. Get the vijanas off the streets by actually, kama kuna dono imekaa tu hapo hivi ifanye kitu ya maana, just put it in a process, in a manufacturing process, and no ujenge vijana, because not to bash gym trainers, they have their purpose.
Only gym trainer by the way. Only trainer.
Mi bado niko in the process. Sijafika hizo levels. Nikipata hii muscle hapa nyuma. Sijui inaitwa try what. Sasa ndo nitakuwa nimegraduate.
But why is a chemist doing gym training? You know, unless they're developing their own formulations for proteins and protein gains and whatnot. And even that, how do you get to a position where you have access to a lab? You know, like a lab such as this radio station. Kama uko na idea and you've studied chemistry, kuja tutakupatia materials, kuna beakers, kuna Bunsen burners, kuna kila kitu yenye unahitaji ku come up na whatever product you're coming up with. And then there's another aspect of bringing the products to market. You can, it might not be at the lab, but whatever organization or whatever people you're working with, wanaweza kusaidia through the entire process from conception, marketing, developing a business plan, developing a go-to-market strategy. Wanaweza kusaidia na hizi vitu zote. But just because we have all these are gaps by the that I'm mentioning.
Unanichanua.
all these things are just gaps that I'm mentioning. So let me give you an example. Kuna company fulani inaitwa Numerical Machining Complex. Nakumbuka I think last year tulienda na Bashiru kwa hivi just to tour the place. By the ukiingia kwa hiyo factory utapata ile Nyayo Pioneer imeandikwa hapo hivi. Mimi sijaiona gari kuna dashboard ya mbao, like a wooden dash.
Ilikuwa ngamba manze.
Hey man, that thing looked sick. And then it looked like a proper classic.
As cool last lakini.
As could last because of whatever bureaucracies zilikuwa zinaenda na kina Biwot back in the day. But we definitely, man, if you looked at that floor space, the only thing that they're manufacturing is clamps for Kenya Power. Za kupanda cables, ama za kupanda, ama they're doing stuff for, what is it called, tea factories. If you're a machine part breaks for a tea factory, those are the guys that are going to be contacted.
So they're underusing the space. They
are, well, for the money they're not. Juu kama hapo hivi umepata contract ya 500M, of course utaichukua kuliko kuchukua idea ya kijana mwenye amekama akasema by the way nataka kutengeneza hiki kitu. Neza kuwa supported aje. Because ideas are not in deficit in this country. Kuna mtu tu amekaa mahali anafikiriaga kitu ako zile za like by the way wish ningeza kufanya hiki kitu. I'm just in the wrong quote unquote wrong environment or don't have the correct support.
Nango akisema Kenya kimakosa. We've seen people even building acha tuzite tu vile wanaziita helicopters. Do you need licensing for these things?
I don't think you need license. You don't need permission to build these things. You need permission for whenever they start interacting with the public. That's when you need
because of safety.
Yeah, because of safety issues.
Checks and all that.
You build whatever you're building, but the moment you start interacting with the public, that's when you start thinking about regulations. And then at the end of the day, gari zenye tuko nazo, ndege zenye tuko nazo ndio zishatoka nje. So ukiangalia website kama ya FAA, Federal Aviation Authority, that's from the US, you can find a list of all the things that you need to, like the bare minimums that you need to actually put a plane in the air, and it can be certified to fly. You go to Europe, there is something called homologation, whereby a car company would take regulations from different regions around the world, like Americas, the Europe, China, Asia, and put all those regulations into actually building the car so that it can be safe to be driven by people, so that if you crash you don't die, if you hit someone they don't die, because hata hiyo bonnet yenye unaonaga hapo hivi nakaga mnafikiri.
So I think yeye kwa akili yake alikuwa anaona by the like helmet inafaa kuwa because
chuma,
but they didn't think that helmet they actually designed to break.
Actually
just to take impact not to break.
Kama hizi I think Nokia zile simu za kitambo kibonde ile kwenda funga.
It's by
so
design.
I think Volvo encounter impact, the engine drops.
Yeah, there was also something a feature like that. At some point they realized maybe it's too expensive of a repair job. So they dropped that idea and just focus on other